Great. Well, thanks all for joining us. This is our first of 3 kickoff sessions for the Women at GitLab Mentorship Program. Really excited to have you all here today to have a discussion about mentorship and our experiences as mentors and mentees. I think it'll be a cool way to connect and share experiences to get excited about the Women at GitLab Mentorship Program. I'm going to welcome Liam McNally to the call. Liam is one of our DIB team members, and the DIB team runs all of the TMRGs at GitLab. And so since this program is, partially being put on by the Women's TMRG, would like to welcome Liam and have him say just like a few words about this program and mentorship at GitLab.
Hi everyone, I'm Liam. I'm really excited about this program, and I'm really excited to see how this is used as a blueprint for other underrepresented groups within GitLab, and how we can utilize mentorship in a really meaningful way, and use it as a career development tool for people that are at GitLab and craving that extra mentorship. I know for me personally, throughout my career, I've had various different mentors at various different stages of my career, and it's been super valuable to be able to, even just those small micro conversations, to be able to bounce ideas off people about your career progression or even your role and the like. So I'm super excited for all the mentees and also the mentors who get a great opportunity to connect and share their experience with others.
Great. Thanks, Liam. That was awesome. Okay, so we will kick off our panel. We have 3 panelists joining today to talk about their experience with mentorship. We have Jane, Amelia, and Flory. So before we get into the questions, I would love if each one of you could just take a second to introduce yourself. You can share your name, your role at GitLab, your location, and also just anything else that you think is important that people know about you. We don't have a specific order, so anyone who would like to jump in first can go ahead.
I can go. So hi everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. So I'm Amelia, based in Sydney, Australia. It's now 3:06 for those in the other parts of the world. So I guess it's good evening, good morning, depending on where you're at. So I'm the APAC channel director, sales director. So I'm everything APAC channel sales, and in this part of the world. And nice to be here. I guess that's the quick introduction. Sam?
Yeah, thanks, Amelia. That's great.
So I'm Jane, and I normally don't say my last name because it just distracts everyone, but then everyone asks me how to pronounce it. So my last name is Gianoutsas. I am a support engineering manager based in Auckland, New Zealand, where I get to look out on beautiful native bush from my home office every day, which makes me very happy. I'm looking forward to celebrating my 1-year anniversary at GitLab next week.
Congrats.
Hi, my name's Flory. I'm a senior front-end engineer for the Plan team, and I'm based in Brisbane, Australia. And I suppose I'm here because I was part of the internship pilot program, so I think it's kind of relevant to this conversation. So I'm looking forward to sharing my experience.
That is great. Cool. Thanks, Flory. I didn't know you were part of that program. Would love to hear more later on too about your experience in that program. Cool. Okay, well, thanks for that, everyone. I will kick it off with the first question. And similar with the introductions, we don't have like a specific order. So if you just feel like compelled to answer, go ahead. And also if someone on the panel doesn't want to or doesn't feel like there's a need to answer the question, that's no problem as well. We can move on to the next one. So this first question is, what was your biggest accomplishment, key learning, or takeaway that you've gained from participating in any sort of mentorship relationship?
I'm happy to go first on this one. I think the main thing for me that I've learned is that I had the capacity to pass down knowledge. It definitely built up my confidence. Like, I guess, as most people like have imposter syndrome, which is usually even more pronounced with women. And I guess it was good to see myself from a different point of view. Like, my relationship with my mentee at GitLab was quite open. Like, it was kind of a both ways open relationships in terms of communication. And I constantly got feedback from him as well, and understanding how he saw the mentorship relationship from his point of view and what I had to give him. And I guess my biggest accomplishment is that he got hired at the end of the internship. So I was very proud that I could teach him enough that he was trusted to be a full-time engineer at GitLab.
That's awesome. I can imagine how good that felt. That's really cool. I'm actually, what I'm sharing refers back to something that happened like about 16 years ago in my career, when I was I just moved to Auckland from a far more much smaller city, much slower paced city, a place where everything you had to be a generalist in IT, not a specialist. Whereas in Auckland you needed to be a bit more specialized. And it was my first role where I was truly managing people, and rather than just, you know, de facto sort of being the leader, because I had a lot of examples of really bad leadership that I'd worked with, and I'd often stepped in to fill that gap. And so yeah, I was in a leadership role for the first time, very little to refer to, very little confidence, and I was really fortunate that I had found a wonderful mentor in an individual from the executive group at the company I was working for. And the key learning for me from him was actually about self-acceptance. And I was working so hard to work out what I needed to change about myself in order to appear or to be competent and credible as a leader. And I'd come to him each week and I'd share these things. I'm like, oh, I need to do better at this. And oh, I did a really bad job at this. And I was really awful. And he just really gently but kindly led me on a journey of acceptance and going, no, you don't need to change that. Let's seek to understand more about you. Why did you feel uncomfortable in that situation? What was it about it that was uncomfortable? What would have been more ideal for you? So that message of acceptance, of going, it's not about changing me, it's about learning about me, was absolutely enormous. And it, you know, 16 years on, it still has an impact on me. Yeah.
For me, it's so I've never been in a formal mentor-mentee relationship, but I would say that throughout my career, I've had the opportunity and the benefit of, you know, working with some really good leaders and managers in my life, where there was an informal, if you will, mentor-mentee kind of relationship. And the biggest learning that I still, this was with one of the companies I worked at 8 years ago, called Autodesk. And he was the regional director at a point in time in Southeast Asia. One of the biggest learnings that I had, you know, working with him is really surrounding yourself, knowing your strengths as a manager and a leader, and then surrounding yourself with people who have the strength where you're weak. And that makes for a very effective team and a leader who can recognize that in himself. So that is the learning that I have, that I still believe in, that, you know, I practice as a manager in my current work, right? So yeah, that's still that to me was something that is something that I really believe in.
Thanks for sharing that, everyone. It's interesting to hear how each of your learnings is very different from each other, but all seems to have like a really strong emotional attachment. I think that like mentorship, whether it be formal or informal, becomes a really personal experience. And that I think really shows based on what you all just shared. So thanks for being open to share that. So this next question, maybe kind of like the flip side of the first question, is what was the biggest challenge that you faced as either a mentor or a mentee?
I'll start, and I think the biggest challenge is really myself. I think when we try, I mean, why we go into a mentor-mentee relationship? Because we want to improve, right? We want to, you know, progress in the career. We want to improve and become better versions of ourselves. At least that's one of the main reasons. But it also involves, you know, putting yourselves in sometimes and oftentimes uncomfortable situations, challenging yourself. And it means being uncomfortable, doing things that is within your comfort zone. But that's when you learn, right? So I found for me, the biggest challenge was to get myself out of the comfort zone and put myself in uncomfortable situations based on the feedback that I'm hearing. So it was, for me personal, it was something that within myself, I had to challenge myself and to you know, recognize that was the way that I grew.
Yeah, similarly to that, I I couldn't have called it imposter syndrome back then. You know, it was, but I had massive self-doubt. I'd even go as far as to say it was a total absence of self-belief. And that actually became really complicated because I was so concerned that I didn't deserve this very busy, very accomplished, very respected executive team member. I didn't believe I deserved his time. So it was really hard for me every time to battle going back and engaging and going, surely he doesn't want to do this anymore. Surely, why? It was debilitating. And again, he was just such a gentle individual that it helped. But so yeah, my own sense of self-doubt, which I think obviously improved through that relationship, but it was the biggest challenge of the relationship, was every time turning up and going, I don't know if I deserve to be here. It was really hard.
That's very relatable. If that's okay, I'll have one challenge as a mentee and one as a mentor, and they kind of all connect together. I had amazing technical mentors when I was getting started, but on a confidence and personal level, they kind of crushed me. They told me I was too arrogant, that I was too outspoken, and it took me a really long time to get it back. Like, I guess imposter syndrome for me, it wasn't a natural thing. It was given to me by people telling me those things. And so originally I'm French. So I studied in France and I worked there for a year before moving to Australia. And that was a huge change for me culturally. The workplace is so different. The way we interact with people, the way we are treated by managers, it's completely different. And it took me a lot of adjusting, but also I think the Australian work culture is much more adapted to my personality type and the way I communicate, because I'm quite direct and honest. And maybe I didn't have any direct mentor-mentee relationship at the time, but being surrounded by people who would tell me to be more confident that I was actually good at my job, that I deserve to speak up and tell my ideas. It really helped me to get out of that imposter syndrome cycle where my previous mentors had put me in. And I felt like it was really beneficial when I became a mentor myself. Actually the intern I was mentoring at the time, he told me that one of the things that he learned the most from me is that you can always speak up as long as you have the knowledge to back it up. It's great to speak up. You should speak up. You should be confident about your knowledge. And especially at GitLab, like people are always open for discussion. They will never shut you down because you're being arrogant. It makes no sense. And I guess that was the cycle of like being crushed and then growing from it and then sharing it with someone, making sure that I was not doing that to him. And I was actually making sure that he knew he could speak up, even though he's young and it doesn't necessarily have a lot of experience. I still value his opinion. It's actually good to be challenged, especially by younger people. They have a different perspective. They've learned things differently, and in IT, things evolve all the time. So I wanted him to challenge me. He did, and that was amazing going through that. Even though there was a few difficult years for me, I can say that I grew out of it and I made the best out of it, I think.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all three of you for sharing that, because that's like a really brave thing to do. And I think that the way that we help others who are experiencing imposter syndrome is to make imposter syndrome normal. And so sharing your own experiences about it is really powerful. So thank you. Okay, we have about 5 minutes left, which is great timing for this last question. And I would love for you all to share a piece of advice that you can share with mentors and mentees who are part of this Women at GitLab mentorship program. Any sort of advice that you have as both mentors and mentees get started with this 3-month program this week would be awesome.
I really appreciate the way that you kind of summarized before, Samantha, about the emotional component of the key takeaways or key learnings. And for me, that's one of the things I wanted to just highlight, is to go, there is a connection you form in a mentor-mentee relationship, and it's not a one-way connection. It's not a mentee forms a connection with mentor. It's two-way. You are both going to learn and grow and be stretched. There are things you're both going to learn about yourselves and about each other. There'll be revelations that you'll both have. And if my experience is anything to go by, those experiences, those learnings will stick with you for a really long time, probably for your entire career. So yeah, really just enjoy the legacy that you're going to leave with each other. And remember, we are all equal in this. It's not about, oh, I've got a mentor, they're up there. No, this is definitely a two-way relationship, and you're both going to get heaps out of it. So yeah.
I guess I don't have much to add to that. I would say be open-minded, and like Jane said, we have things to learn from each other. Like even a mentor will learn things from their mentee. Also, like, don't be afraid to ask questions. There are no stupid questions, and people will not judge. We're happy to help. I would also say over communicate. Like there is no such thing as over communication being a bad thing, especially when you have that type of relationship. And yes, you'll build something special out of it. And when I was doing the program, we were talking every day. Even if we had nothing important to say, if it's just about talking about the weather, we still talked every day. And it's not just about, there's something that is also that I could have mentioned before. It's you can help the mentee in their work, but let them keep up with what you're doing yourself. Like, because the way they're going to observe how you work, it could be insanely valuable. Even if you don't see it that way, they will gain something out of it by just witnessing what you do and how you do it and how you communicate with people and all of that. And that's insanely valuable. And the last small advice is enjoy the experience, because it is an amazing thing to do, to teach and be taught, and that will have a tremendous impact on the rest of your career. And yeah, it's something that you'll take with you to any job and you'll cherish forever.
I think for me, it's for the mentee, it's to take ownership, right? Not that you earn, but definitely take ownership of it. It's there to help you drive it, take ownership of it. Don't wait for the mentor to reach out to you. Reach out to the mentor and make the best of it and benefit from it.
Awesome. That's great advice. Well, thank you all for joining in on this discussion. We only have about 1 minute left. And so I just want to close things out and say if anyone has any other questions that they want to discuss, feel free to add it to this agenda document. We have 2 more kickoff sessions happening at a few other time zones later on today, and probably pushing into tomorrow for you all. So if you have other questions, I am happy to raise those for the 2 other panel discussions that are going to be happening. So you can just drop them in the document and we can bring them up later on, or also answer asynchronously in the doc. But I just wanted to say again, thank you. This has been a really great discussion. I feel like really lucky to work with all of you and to have the chance to have this conversation. So thank you for joining, and I hope you all enjoyed the rest of your day today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks. See ya.